Hello and welcome to episode 494 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. Join me as always is a glorious LeagueFreak. You can also find on Twitter at LeagueFreak. How you going there, mate?
Going very well, Andrew. How are you? And I'd like to say hello to all of our listeners down there on Earth.
Yeah, look, we're kind of winging it here because our recording technology is not telling us whether the recording started or not. So, this is either a waste of time or it's a waste of the listeners' time.
Sounds like a fucking shark season, hey?
How is all that hoo-ha all for a loss?
I know. It got to the point in that game. I mean, that game fucking sucked.
It was dreadful.
It got to a point where you were just happy that there were fewer people witnessing that shit.
That was... I know there's a few games during this week where I just looked at it and went, no one wins here.
Well, let's do it phonetically.
Okay.
From the beginning.
That's
what phonetically means for everyone out there.
It does now.
Yeah. So it starts off with the Storm versus the Broncos. And we talked last week about all of the statistics were in favour of the Storm. I thought the Storm were going to put it to the Broncos, and the Storm just had very little. Like, they had no comebacks to anything the Broncos did, and the Broncos ran out, and it was a really good victory by them. It was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Broncos decimated the Storm. I haven't seen the Storm being bullied that comfortably in the middle in a long time.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and it was a really good performance by everyone on that Broncos team. It was the sort of game that they would be hoping for in that first up match and puts them straight through to the preliminary final. And you can't take anything away from the Broncos. They were magnificent. The Storm, they've had a couple of performances like this during the year where you expect them to do Storm things and come back or apply, and they just don't have it in them against some of the teams. They didn't have it in them against Penrith a couple of times. And then there was that game there against the Broncos. And really interesting. Now the Storm go to the Panthers side of the draw if they can get through. And it feels like it. I said during it, I worry when Craig Bellamy is not spitting at the window in the coach's box. When he's sitting back and he seems like resigned and calm, I feel as though that's when he feels as though he hasn't got a team that can get it done. And I've seen that a couple of times this year out of him. And I don't know if it's a real thing or not. I might just be making it up in my head. But when he thinks he can win, he's going off his head at everything, even his own plays. His own player drops a ball, he goes nuts. And in that game, when they showed him, he was just kind of resigned to it. And so I think that maybe he thinks he hasn't got the team for it this year.
I don't know. I think it might be. I largely agree with what you're saying there. I think it's not so much about whether he thinks they're not good enough to get the job done for the year. I think he can see very early on if he sees that his team is being out enthused and they've got no chance of winning the game. And I think that's what he gets resigned to every now and then, because that's what happened in this game. Like, Melbourne, try as they might, they could not build any momentum in this game. Brisbane did to them what Melbourne usually does to Brisbane.
Yeah.
It just suffocated them.
Yeah, and like, they moved the ball really well. I was really happy with how their young outside backs all took on the contest. They were great. And then, like, the Storm just didn't have it. It showed there was a gulf between those teams, and I think that's one of the things out of this weekend's games that we've just watched. It feels as though the Broncos and Panthers are on a different level to everyone else. And, I think the other thing obviously out of that game was Pappenhausen's injury, which is just rotten. He broke his ankle. It was weird seeing people talking about it, because I actually looked away from the TV as it happened. And then it happens and I'm like, damn, and I saw people saying, it's a compound fracture. His ankle was flopping around and it was twisted backwards and stuff. And I actually was watching on KO, so I could rewind it and watch it again. And I'm like, what is everyone fucking looking at? Because I watched it and it was just like a real basic broken ankle. He didn't have a compound fracture. They said that in the medical report the next day.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see everyone's reaction to it. And it sucks that he's out, obviously, but people kind of saw something there that didn't actually happen, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, no, there's talk that it could be 4 to 5 months off, which I dare say that's a best case scenario, which means he should be able to get just enough preseason training under his belt to start round 1.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if the Storm just say, you know what, let's give him a month, run it back in properly, like they did prior to coming back for the finals. They gave him a few games in the Queensland Cup. I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing again here. And then, bring him back in then. My first concern was, I hope it's not that knee again.
Yeah, same here. I actually was, because he was grabbing down, and keep in mind I didn't see it immediately, and he's grabbing down to his ankle. And I was like, please don't be his Achilles, because if he had done his Achilles, I would have, if he had retired that night, I would have been like, I completely get it. Yeah. But a break, which is horrible, and I can't imagine coming back and playing football after a break, but players do all the time. But, and it seemed like it was a pretty straightforward break. As I said, there was no compound fracture, so there wasn't any of those concerns. And it sucks. It really sucks, because he's worked his ass off to get back, and, he's had no luck. And it's all of these traumatic, like serious concussions, and then he smashes his fucking kneecap, which is just horrible. And all these horrible injuries the poor bloke's had. Yeah.
He'll probably come back and then play 300 straight games.
Imagine that.
He's hoping.
Cool.
Looking at some of the team stats for this game, we might go through a few of them for each match. Just look at some of the telling ones.
Mm-hmm.
Meters run. Broncos 1698. Storm 1400.
Yeah.
Post contact meters. Broncos 610 to 479. Line breaks 5-1, tackle breaks 57 to 32.
Wow.
They were just dominating in the ruck in every way possible. There was just nothing the Storm could do to get into it.
The only thing I would say about this game that surprised me a little bit was that it felt like a really top level regular season game, in that players were willing to push the boundaries of what they were doing and weren't super worried about making mistakes, which is something you don't normally see in the finals. Normally you see finals teams really minimising those mistakes. And look, it made for a fantastic game of footy. The Storm made more mistakes than I think I've ever seen them make, ever.
Yeah. They were pretty messy in that department. There's no doubt about it. 50,000 people in attendance. Let's have a look. I predicted Melbourne would win by 25, so I've got the margin pretty close. And you had the Storm by 10.
So technically, I was closer.
That's right. Yeah, you win that one. Next game was the Panthers versus the Warriors.
Yeah, and like no Sean Johnson going in, and that was it, really, wasn't it?
It showed too.
Yeah.
As the Warriors' attack looked very lackluster. And the Panthers were basically just cruising. 3 tries in the first half, 2 in the second. Mm-hmm. Never really under the pump at all. And the stats are lopsided. Look at that, run meters. 550 meters more.
Jeez.
9 line breaks to 1, 55 tackle breaks to 26. It's just insane.
Yeah, and like when you think that they get the week off now, which will help with a couple of players that are injured. Jerome Luai is possible to be back in their preliminary final. Isaac Tungor will be back for sure. So they're actually going to get better, and it felt like I don't know. It felt like something had happened in that game and I know that the Warriors didn't have Sean Johnson, and I don't think it would have made a massive difference, to be honest with you, but it felt like the Panthers just put down a marker and said, all right, the Broncos played great last night. Let's put one down as well. And those two teams, they just looked fantastic.
Yeah, I think Sean Johnson's kicking game and leadership directing the team around the park would have made a telling difference to the Warriors' performance, and I think it would have closed the gap on the scoreboard, but it wouldn't have changed the end result. Penrith still would have won. I had Penrith to win by 14. You had them to win by 24.
And what was the score at the end?
32-6. 26 was the margin. You're up by 2.
Not good enough, Andrew. I'll have to do better.
Well, the next game won't deliver. This was, let's be honest, this was an absolute bludger of a game.
Mm-hmm.
Sharks versus Roosters. 12,500 Sharks fans are in attendance and 70 Roosters fans, the ones who were crying the whole week they were there.
Yeah.
The same 70 who travel to all the away games.
It was a rough game to watch.
It was rough.
It was bad for a regular season game.
Yeah. It was even hard to see. Like, Nico Hines was clearly the best Sharks player, and there was a long way back from him to the next best. And he just looked completely like he's playing a sole hand out there. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Stats of this game are pretty even too. Mm-hmm. Run meters, the Sharks had just under 1,800, which is not far away from what Penrith had against the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Roosters, though, had more post-contact meters. They had 15 more tackle breaks. The Sharks' average set distance was 42 meters, which is quite a lot higher than the average. It's usually around 35 or so.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that has been going on a lot with the Sharks this year, is they will make big meters in every set, but when they get down in the right position for a good attacking play with one or two tackles to go, execution is shit.
Yeah. And I felt the exact same way about both these teams pretty much all year. I thought that they weren't a problem for anybody. That was a real shot. And this game really felt like it rammed that point home where, these two teams were really struggling to beat one another. There was a few injuries there for both sides, but yeah, they lacked the killer blows, but both teams did. And I mean, the Sharks just, how long does it take before Fitzgibbon comes under the spotlight? Because he took over from John Morris and he moved them forward. He did. But, are they really more of a threat now than they were under Morris? I don't think they are. And at some point, you've got to start asking those questions. He brought in a lot of players. He spent a lot of money. And a lot of those guys have just been okay or have not played. And part of me wonders if he decided to try and make a team that could tackle its ass off and try to get sort of veterans in and players that can do a lot of work and stuff. But you've got to have more than that. And so they don't really worry teams too much. And I don't know, I just felt like this is the way the Sharks season was always going to end. And the fact that the Roosters managed to beat them, and the Roosters were really bad in this game themselves, I thought it said a lot about where the Sharks are at as a team right now.
Well, the Sharks did themselves no favours because they lost this game by 1 point. They missed 2 goal attempts.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a bit of a story for them over the last few years as well, is poor goal kicking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cost them a game here. Mm. And it's as simple as that. It doesn't matter what any other incident happened on the field. They missed two shots at goal. That's 4 points. They lost by 1. It's as simple as that. I think, back to your point about Fitzgibbon, I think you're right. He has tried to build a team that's defensively strong in the middle, and that's where the purchase of Dale Finucane was really important, and the Sharks have missed him a lot since he got injured, because that middle defence has been flimsy ever since he left, and it's been inconsistent. And it's been a large reason why they haven't been able to be competitive with the top 8 sides for the majority of the year.
Yeah.
and he's also he just keeps it in check. He keeps it where it should be. He keeps everyone manned up when they need to be and sliding exactly where they need to be. And when you got your middle working like that, you're forcing your opposition to constantly play wide all the time, and they play away from their strengths in the middle. And it's a lot of one-on-one work out there. And if they're scoring tries, then it's like the Sharks. You're scoring tries out wide in the corners. There's more often than not you're going to be scoring 4 points, not 6. But yeah, it was a blood-driven game.
Really was, yeah. It was kind of shocking. And, you know, the Roosters win it. They go on and face the Storm. I think as busted as the Storm are, I think the Storm will just tear them to shreds. And I said that against the Storm, against the Broncos, so we'll find out. But, yeah, that's how I feel. Well,
I had the Sharks to win this one by 4 and you had them to win by 7.
Yeah, and we're both wrong on that one.
Yeah. The last game, Canberra back to their choking best.
Still, how entertaining was it?
It was pretty entertaining. There's no doubt about it. I didn't get to see all of this game. So I saw parts of the first half, and then I saw probably about the last 10, 15 minutes of the game. A big chunk of the end of the tail end of the first half and a big chunk at the start of the second half. I missed all of that. So I need to ask, how did Rapana go?
It was like he read exactly what you said last week. And he said, you know what? If it's 60-40, my first 60% of this game is going to be the best 60% ever. And then the second half, he wasn't like the other 40%. He wasn't horrible, but there were the missed tackles that he made. There was a couple of really bad missed tackles where he could have shut down a try and things like that. But it was just so you nailed it with that comment, you know, because he started the game amazingly, and it just went downhill after it, probably about. It would have been about 55 minutes or so into the match. It just went downhill.
So he should be an X-Factor player off the bench then.
Maybe, but what if it's still the same percentage? Like if he plays 5 minutes and 60% of it's amazing, but the other 40% sucks, that's still not good.
No, just tell him your game starts in the second half.
Yeah.
Or don't tell him that. Just let him know the first 40 minutes, no, we're not playing the game, mate. They're just having a practice run out there. Kickoff starts in 40 minutes. Then he runs out, and then after full time goes, bring him in. Just have Ricky have a separate room for him. Have a chat with him. Says, out you shoot, buddy.
It's like when players get knocked out and they don't know where they are and shit. I always say, like, you listen, Wally Lewis, you get back out there on Suncorp, all right?
That's all right. That's the Rapana minutes right there. He's out there. He's doing kick returns against nobody.
A couple of interesting things out of this game. First of all, everyone, can we just calm down with Dom Young? Can we, I've seen Dom Young go from being like, oh, he's doing really well this year to, is this guy the best winger in the game?
Has there been? I've got to ask.
Yes.
And I'm genuine about this because I've really stayed away from the media during the finals. So it's become really insufferable.
Yeah.
Has anyone compared him to Martin Offia yet?
Not yet.
Okay, I expect that to happen soon.
In the last 7 days.
Yeah.
Because he scored a couple of good tries in the last round. And the thing was like, no other winger in the game could score those tries. It's like, they do it every fucking week. Let's calm down here. And then, he's playing good footy. You know, he's doing his job. But it's like, is this guy the best winger in the game? It's like, no. That's it.
There's been a bit of that chat recently. I'll get into that in a sec. We'll look at some of the stats here. The Raiders ran for 2,000 metres in this game.
Holy shit. And they lost.
Post-contact metres, 575. It was nearly 200 more than the Knights. 49 tackle breaks to 31. They dominated nearly every single stats field on here. Dummy passes. How's this? The Knights had 5 dummy passes. The Raiders had 47.
Holy shit.
Yeah, maybe just run it.
That's what happens when you're worried about your halves. because the Raiders don't have halves again. And, the Raiders, in a lot of ways, they were dominant in parts of this game.
They dominated every single stat field. They weren't behind on any one of them.
Except the scoreboard.
Except the one that mattered, the scoreboard.
Which has been their game all year, hey?
Oh, absolutely. But it's, up 16-6 at half time. And then to concede 3 straight tries before they got back on the board again. And by then they basically lost it. Managed to be locked up at full time, so we went into extra time. And Ponga kicked a late penalty goal, which was enough to get them across the line.
I need to bring up this penalty goal because I think there was a wrong decision made.
Okay.
So there was a 6 again at the play the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe it was Hudson Young runs from a position on the goal line where the referee said he was offside. Ponga has the ball. I think he was, from memory, he was going to go for a field goal, but then it was quickly balked by Hudson Young. Starts running across field and eventually gets tackled in what's deemed to be a high tackle. It's not quite on the sideline. It's maybe 10 metres in from the sideline. Now, the referee blows a penalty and he says that Hudson Young was offside and it was basically under the posts. So they go back to take the penalty kick under the posts. That has not happened all year. And we've talked about this on the podcast where basically if you get 6 again for holding down in the ruck, for instance, you play the ball back and the dummy half drops it trying to get the ball. And that's been a turnover all year.
Yep.
And it's like, well, the penalty, there was no penalty, And for some reason, this was a penalty and there was time for a play to be had. And we go back to a penalty under the sticks. I don't believe that was the right call. And I didn't see anybody else saying anything about it. There was one guy on my Twitter feed who was like, I kind of agree with you. There's something weird happened there. But most people just sort of didn't care too much about it. And I was a bit shocked by that. Now, either I've got the rule wrong or that was applied in the wrong way. Like, what do you think about that?
I'll tell you what I thought. I actually agree with you. I actually think they did get it wrong.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought was, and this is going to sound like I'm defending the ref. I wondered if the ref has applied the rule according to what it used to be a few years ago, and the flip-flopping around with the set restarts and stuff, because it's not the same set restart rules that we had last year or the year before. It's somewhat weakened, and penalties now replace some set restarts depending where the play is, blah, 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 blah. And I wonder if that has confused him at the time when, obviously, we're in the 88th minute, so fatigue is also set in, which is going to impact decision-making. And I thought maybe he's just gone with, muscle memory sort of thing took over. So, all through my junior days, that was a penalty. Bam. And that's what he's just gone and done. And as we see with a lot of referees, when they make the wrong decision, Bill Harrigan, they will not reverse their wrong decision. Once they make it, they stick with it.
Because if they had taken that kick from out where they said there was a high tackle, I would have not thought about it again. But they took the kick from basically in front of the sticks, and that was game over at that point. And I just didn't understand how they come to that decision. Yeah,
it was a bit weird because if they deemed that the play could continue, and I don't know if the advantage rule I don't think applies when a foul has been committed. I think the advantage rule applies when there's been a change of possession due to a drop ball. If one team drops the ball, the other side picks up, and then they run 15 metres and someone gets tackled and they drop the ball as they get tackled, then they come back to the original infringement and
I see
tend to pick up the ball, gets it back again. That's the advantage rule. I'm pretty certain you can't have that in play when it's a penalty. So I don't know why play was allowed to resume if Hudson Young is deemed to be offside.
Well,
And
it's
then
like
Ponga gets hit with a high tackle, and then they go, oh, no. Let's ignore that high tackle and come back to the original penalty. That's the bit that's weird. Like, why was a player allowed to progress when an infringement had already been made that was a penalty infringement? That's the bit that's weird for me.
Yeah. I just think that was the wrong decision. And look, it was the game deciding decision. And I don't know. I found it weird that there was not many people on Twitter that even thought twice about it. And
they're probably all worried that Ricky Stewart's going to come and bash him for saying anything. Just be quiet. Or maybe actually they all left. They saw that isn't and gone, oh, let's not tune to the press conference, and that's where they were.
Well, yeah. It was just a strange one, but look, the Raiders had their chances. As you said, they really lost it in that little period after halftime where they let the Knights play like world beaters. They did well to fight back, but you can't give up those things in a game. And I thought that it showed a little bit both sides, that what they can and can't do in this competition. Yes. The fact that the Knights let the Raiders get away to a bit of a lead, and then the Raiders let them lose that lead, and then the Knights let them get back into the game. There was a lot of failures there in terms of what you do in finals football. And look, failures are usually what decides finals games. Like, it's very rare that you see someone play a perfect finals game, but it made for a really entertaining contest. I found myself cheering on the Raiders because it was just so improbable that they were going to win it. And everything in the last few weeks for the Raiders was kind of a bit of a comedy. So just the whole thing was this idea that the Raiders were going to go through to week 2 of the finals was kind of funny to me. And I was kind of cheering that on, especially having watched the Channel 9 intro to fucking this game, which was, they didn't mention the Raiders until the Raiders took the lead in this match. Like, it was, oh, this is so Newcastle. This reminds me of the glory days of Newcastle. Like Andrew Johns is talking about when they used to get 30,000 people into the ground in 1988. I'm thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure that didn't happen, Andrew. You know?
Yeah. It was never really that big.
No. And like, he's talking about how they were getting those crowds back in 1988 and shit. And it was just a real big giant wank. And so to see the Raiders come out and lead at halftime was kind of funny to me. But, the Knights come back. They won the game. They go through and they face the Warriors next week in New Zealand. And good luck.
Yeah. Now, there was one comment I heard that was stupid in the commentary for the Broncos Storm game, and that was Paul Vaughton when there was a scrum win against the feed. And Paul Vaughton went on with I haven't seen one of those since Max Cruz. Oh, shut up, you fucking idiot. They happen every year.
Channel 9's coverage is dated.
Tedious. I had to watch Channel 9 coverage on the weekend.
Yeah.
And I went, this is horrid. I don't know how people are watching this. How do they have viewer numbers that are more than 7?
I don't know. And everything's just so bad. Like, they'll go to the sideline and you hear, some monotone voice telling you breaking news, this player's injured. It's like, we fucking watched it, man. And there was a point in the Newcastle game where Newcastle versus Canberra game, and Tapani, he got taken to the head bin for a head knock. And I'm watching, I'm like, well, he will be out for all of this extra time period. Took 15 minutes for Brad Fittler to key on in that fact. And I'm like, it's just like, these dudes do this professionally. And Andrew Johns, I swear Andrew Johns doesn't watch rugby league. It's really weird to hear one of the greatest players, the best player I ever saw play, like, just not knowing players.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
He's lost. He really is lost. Speaking of lost, going back to what we were about to venture into before, apparently on NRL 360 this week, the question was asked, is Nathan Cleary in the conversation for the best halfback ever?
All right, let's do this.
Okay.
No.
I was going to say, I'll put my answer out there and we'll discuss it from there. I said no, full stop.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. What is he? He's 25, 26?
Oh, man. Look, before you even look into what Nathan Cleary's accomplished, and this is not to take anything away from him, okay?
Yeah.
Have a look who's in the conversation with him. And then go, you're trying to tell me that he's above those people or should be considered on their same tier. Just have a look in modern time for the names that people know. Peter Sterling, Steve Mortimer, Alan Langer, Ricky Stewart, Jonathan Thurston, Andrew Johns. I mean, is he above those people?
No.
Maybe some of them, not all of them.
But they had entire full careers.
Yeah, that's right.
And like, is Nathan Cleary, I mean, he's 25 and touch wood, physically, he's good. He comes from a family of footballers. He's a strong dude. Like, he might be a third of the way through his career, maybe. Yeah. He's not at halfway.
No.
So what the fuck are they talking about?
I don't know. It's ridiculous. And I don't know why they want to go down this avenue of having this conversation after spending most of the year bitching and moaning about everything that goes on in rugby league. All of a sudden now they're going to go, is this the best player ever? Is this the best of all time? It's like, first and foremost, it proves how little football, they're not just watching this year, but how little football they've been watching over the majority of their journalist careers.
Yes.
And it's that stupid old fucking cretin that's on their bloody Rothfield banging on about some shit. Yeah.
Well, here's a question for you. And I know
stick to hiding in pop plants looking at people walking their fucking dogs into supermarkets, you dumb old prick. Fair income.
I know the answer you'll give to this one. Is he a better halfback than Greg Alexander?
Yes.
I don't think he is.
But I would say that Greg Alexander was not an out-and-out halfback.
Well, as an all-round footballer, Greg Alexander was a better player. There's no doubt. Right?
Yes.
I think as a halfback, I think Greg Alexander had a few more strings to his bow in attack. He wasn't the same defender. And to be fair, I think that in the whole history of the game, from the ones that I've seen, it's really only Andrew Johns who has the size and the ability in defence that Cleary has.
I'd liken Greg Alexander's style of play as a halfback to Nico Hines. There's a lot of ball running involved in it. A bit of creativity with the kicking game and the passing game and stuff like that. But he was a better organiser than Hines. Don't get me wrong there. But it was very similar in the sense that it was very much based around a running game, whereas Cleary's is much more rounded.
See, I don't rate Hines, hey?
You don't have to. I'm not talking about. I'm not saying that they're on the same level. I'm saying style-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, another one would be Luke Brooks, but Luke Brooks' kicking game is atrocious compared to Alexander's. But he does mould his game around his one core strength, and that's his running game. Brandy was the same. He was a very fast runner and had a very good swerve. Lockie was another one with a good swerve on him as well. Didn't use stepping as much. He just had the pace to go round people.
I would say, if I'm trying to think of who I would line him up with, because
he's a very unique player. That's the thing. That's why I was thinking Hines, because Hines is one of those few players in the modern game who's been able to perform at fullback and halfback, which is what Greg Alexander did. You're not going to find too many players who can do both in the modern game.
You know who's run a game Brandy reminds me of, and this is a weird one, and people will be put off because of the stature. Alan Langer. I think Greg Alexander had the same ability to pick when to run that Langer did. Different sorts of body types though, right? He probably didn't have that kick at the end of his runs that Langer did, because Langer would get through the line and then he'd put a kick in and get it back.
He had to, because he wasn't as fast as Alexander. Brandy had plenty of toe.
Yeah, he had a turn of speed, especially when he was younger. But I think if you put Greg Alexander in this, and it's nothing against Nathan Cleary. Nathan Cleary is the best halfback in the game right now, and he's going to get better. His years of developing as a halfback are all ahead of him, right?
Yeah, that's right.
When you're 25 as a halfback, you need to have the basics there to then go on to maybe be a great. And the cool thing is that Cleary's got all those basics there. And now we're going to see what type of halfback he is going forward. But I think if you took Greg Alexander and put him in this Panthers team, they'd be better. That's my opinion.
I think if you put Alexander in this team, he'd be 5'8".
I think he probably would be too. In the modern day, he'd be a better 5'8". But I think that he would play halfback, and he would kill it. Behind this pack, man, he'd kill it.
There's no doubt he would, but I think Cleary would be the starting 7. Imagine if you could have Cleary at 7 and Brandy at 6. Fuck off.
Just be ridiculous.
And Dylan Edwards at bloody at fullback.
It'd be ridiculous.
You could get Roy Simmons to come back and be hooker.
That'd be cool.
Current Roy Simmons. It'd be fine.
You probably could, eh?
It'd still dominate.
It's great. I can't believe that how good this Panthers team is. Like, they keep doing stuff that is like I would never have dreamed of. It's really weird.
Yes. Now for our prediction for that last game. I picked the Knights to win by 3, and you had them by 6.
Okay, so we weren't far off.
Shall we preview the 2 games on this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, because I've got a few stats for that one as well, so for those 2 as well, so we can get into that. So first up, we've got the Storm versus the Roosters. Melbourne have won 14 of their last 20 games against the Roosters, which goes back to 2015. Mm-hmm. The Roosters, though, have won 3 of the 4 finals games they've played against the Storm. And here's an interesting stat that I found today. The Storm and the Roosters have played in 101 of the 233 finals games played since 1998.
That's a lot.
43% of all finals games since 1998 have had either the Storm or the Roosters in them. That's
weird. You would think that was an impossible stat.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So there you go. So there's the numbers. Let's have a look at the lineup, see if there's any changes there. Excuse me while I navigate around the NRL website, because it's brilliant like this. While I'm doing this, because it's taken forever, Jack Whiten got 3 weeks for biting as well.
Oh, did he? I thought that was a weird one. You know, people, as I said on Twitter, get someone to grab you around the head while you're being held down on the ground by 2 other people, and then to shove their forearm into your fucking mouth and see what happens.
Well, I thought most players, what they would have done is just grab the back of their neck and got a penalty. But Whiten just thought he'd have a chew. I mean, you know.
I think there's a difference between going out your way to bite someone, which we have seen, and someone shoving their forearm in your mouth.
Yeah. I don't know. I figured the one he got done for, he didn't need to chomp down. Like, I understand that he's probably trying to get the arm out of his mouth. But if he hadn't have moved his jaw in any way whatsoever, just moved his head around or something like that, just do something, probably wouldn't have been a problem. And that shit probably happens to, in every single game. You'd never know.
I reckon that if the Raiders were playing this week, he would have got off with it.
Yeah, it's possibly true.
And Gamble apparently, after making the complaint on the field, decided not to provide evidence to the judiciary, which is like I saw people complaining about that on Twitter, because all people do on fucking Twitter is complain, fucking cunts. But yeah, Tyson Gamble's allowed to, not give evidence if he doesn't want to at that point. That's fine.
That's fine. He got what he wanted out of that result. So
fucking dumb cunts on Twitter, Andrew. What a bunch of dumb fucking whinging cunts.
That's right.
Yeah.
Go over there and follow us. I saw the Oracle was on there and he was whinging about the referee and some other stuff for some game. And I said, mate, bashing a referee it's the weak way out. Sure, they make errors, but bashing them and causing saying that they're the reason for the change in result. Yeah, no, not one decision by a ref. You've had 80 minutes to get that result right. Don't blame the ref for one decision at the end of the game.
Exactly. I the thing about that penalty kick for me is like, I was wondering, like, am I wrong about this rule? And I was really curious to see if I was wrong about the rule. And if somebody proves me wrong, it's like, okay, there you go. But, if you don't want to lose the game, don't go to extra time.
Yeah. I mean, you were up by 10 points at half time.
Yeah.
So with the Storm Roosters game, a lot of changes here for the Storm. Pappenhausen, Coates, and Tonamapia are out. Olam, Sevi, Remus Smith, Tapaimo Aroa, Tyron Smith, and Suafar Longa have all come into the side. Grant Anderson, Alec McDonald, I think, on the extended bench. The Roosters have lost Billy Smith, Joey Manu, and Joseph Suwali. Their backline is basically a bunch of reserve graders. Mm-hmm. Paunga, who I think came from the Tigers as a junior, he's now on the wing. Momorovsky's at centre next to Corey Allen, who was a fullback / winger at the Roosters and Bulldogs, and Jackson Paulo's on the other wing. Mm-hmm. Fletcher Baker's going to be in the front row. Soao Wong will be in the second row.
He's playing really good. Wong.
Yes, actually, Victor Radley has not been his season-long absolute shitfulness of the last few weeks either. Not saying he's great, but he has played better and played where he should have been playing all year.
Yeah, well, he's not fucking up. Yeah. Like he's not doing anything amazing with the ball or in defence, but he's just not fucking up, and that goes a long way.
It helps. It really helps. But yeah, a lot of changes in both sides, especially in the back lines. So it kind of evens it out all a bit, really.
Yeah, and I like the players the Storm have brought in. I mean, imagine bringing in Olam into the centre position, which is going to be fantastic for them. They're playing down there in Melbourne, which will be a big help to them, I think. After having a performance like that, I mean, how many times do Melbourne have bad back-to-back performances as a club? It's very, very rare. Yeah. And this Roosters team, I feel like they're kind of limping into this game a little bit. I didn't rate them anyway at their very best this season, and I just think the Storm will be a different level of team compared to the Roosters. If the Roosters play like they did against the Sharks, the Storm should smash them. But we'll see. This Storm is been surprisingly
clunky.
It's just not Storm-like football, and it's a little bit of a worry. It's got to be a worry for Craig Bellamy. They've still got quality players in there, but I mean, I even think that Hughes is sort of carrying himself to the end of the season. He's picked up a couple of injuries here and there. Munster hasn't been at his best. And yeah, there's just little bits here and there. I mean, Harry Grant hasn't played well this season, I've thought.
Yeah, they've all sort of been phasing in and out of, solid form and average and stuff like that. I think the two big players in this game are on the bench for the Storm, and that's Asper Solomona and Tarek Sims. Mm-hmm. Imagine being able to have those two blokes coming onto the game, say 5-10 minutes before half time.
Yeah, Big Nelson, when he came into the game last week, he changed it a little bit. Obviously, it didn't change the result, but I mean, he was really a handful for the Broncos forwards who'd been dominating. And Sims is one of those players. He's a perfect player to have on the bench as a roll the dice player. Like if things aren't going your way, put him out there because he's the sort of dude that can all of a sudden be through the line and go 60 meters and score and make your fullback look stupid. He's also the sort of dude that can drop the ball on your own 10-meter line as well. So
it is a Sims trait.
Yeah. Well, and it's been a Sims trait for all the Sims boys too.
Yep.
It's been
kind
really
of like the Burgess boys have the similar thing.
Yes.
Good thing I like about Tarek is he can play either directly in the middle as a prop if you need to, or at lock, or you can put him on one of the edges, and you can put him on either edge.
Yeah.
He's so handy in that way. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Storm here by 14.
I'm going to go Storm by 28.
That's fair. The next game, Warriors versus the Knights.
How cool is this going to be? There's going to be a full house there in New Zealand. I saw a thing earlier today where they said that the TV ratings for the All Blacks in the Rugby Union World Cup, where there was 1 million people watched them, and then 700,000 watched the Warriors game. So there's like the Warriors are going to be the big show in New Zealand this week. It's going to be absolutely insane. And Sean Johnson's back. It'll be interesting to see how much he's carrying himself in that game. But I just think that for any team going into that environment is going to be really difficult, and I think that the Knights will not overcome it.
Well, the stats tend to agree with what you're saying there, because the Knights have won 2 of their last 7 games against the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Their last 5 finals games have seen them concede an average of 31.6 points per game. That's for the Knights. Mm-hmm. And the Warriors have won 13 of their last 15 games against the Knights in New Zealand. That goes back to 2006.
Wow, that's a pretty good record.
And this is the first time they've met in a finals match.
The only thing that would worry me if I was a Warriors fan is that the occasion overtakes the on-field performance, which can happen at times where sometimes there's so much expectation and there'll be a bit of a celebration that the Warriors are there and they're playing at home and all this sort of stuff. And if that overwhelms the team.
Tell you what, maybe on that front, the fact that coming into this game, having lost in its sudden death, might be enough to take that away.
Yeah, true.
Might be enough to keep them absolutely focused. Because they've got some pretty big names coming in. They've got Bunty Afoa, Sean Johnson, Edward Kosi as well. The Knights have got Jackson Hastings and Lachlan Fitzgibbon out, which, I mean, that's pretty bloody big. Adam Clune comes in at halfback.
I saw a thing earlier today where there was some journo put out a story where it was like, Adam Clune's got his passport and he's ready to play for the Knights. And it's like, they've all got passports. What the fuck are you talking about? It's like, hey, everyone, I've got a passport. Just letting you know. It's like, yeah, it's part of being a professional fucking rugby league player.
Sorry, I like the story that Adam Clune he got called up on Monday night, and he's gone, fuck, I better get to the post office fucking smart. And he's been running around. He's got Knights officials running around saying, look, we'll get a photo of you, get a white background. And bang, don't smile. Stop being so happy about being in a finals match and going to New Zealand. Right, got the smile. Bang, click. Right, print it out. Right, where's the paperwork? Oh, it's all online. Quick, fill it out. We need to do it as quickly as possible and get on the phone. Can we get to the post office? We need to get this thing processed ASAP. And the Australia Post goes, it's going to take 6 weeks. He's like, no, fuck yeah.
I would like to know who the last player was that didn't have their passport. Like, I'm not talking expired or they misplaced it or something. I mean, like, you're a professional rugby league player and you've got to say, oh, I don't have a passport though. Like, I can't ever remember that.
I'd say nearly all the West Tigers players, whenever they've had to leave Campbelltown, they've gone, oh shit, I can't go to the game. I haven't got my passport on me, mate. It's just a Penrith. Yeah, but I need my passport. I don't have it. It's okay. I'll stay at home.
It's a
but yeah, I'm surprised that they've put Clune in at 7. I thought they might have moved Gamble to halfback. And then you probably could have had, Ponga at 6 if you wanted to, or leave him there and put someone else at 6. I think the 6 is easier to cover than the 7. So I was kind of surprised that they put Clune in there because, I mean, when did he last play a game?
Has he played? I mean, he must have played this year. So,
He's played this year.
Yeah.
He's only played 4 games this year, though.
But at least they're bringing in a guy with first grade experience.
Oh, he played in the last 3 rounds.
Well, there you go. Like he's got experience, and that this is why they brought him to the club for that backup role. So, it's always good when a plan works out like that. So we'll see how it goes. Like he is a reserve grade level player, but in terms of having a backup, he's not the worst. Like, it's not like they're bringing up some young kid to play his first grade game. At least Clune will go into this match and, not be overawed by it, which is good.
Yeah. I do think, though, the Warriors will get home in this one.
Yeah, same.
I don't think it's going to be a hiding, though. I'm going to pick the Warriors by 10. But I'm not confident it's going to be that big either.
Yeah, I'm going to say Warriors by 8. I think that they're going to have to fight for it. And I think that it'll almost be like watching a learning process happening on the field where they kind of get away and then the Knights fight back, and they get away a little bit more and the Knights fight back. But eventually they'll just have enough of a break where you got that 8-point lead and it's, the game's over. And I think it could be a higher scoring game too. I don't think it's going to be a defensive battle.
No, that's right. Well, that's the finals done. There's something that has been going on during the year. Mm-hmm. During the week, and that is a number of clubs have already done their awards nights.
Yeah.
Did you want to go through?
Yeah, why not?
We can do that. On Sunday, Parramatta kicked it off. Their player of the year, Clint Gutherson.
Well, why not?
Why not?
It's cool that he's won something.
I mean, every club's got a ton of them, but we'll just go through the player of the year one.
Okay, yeah.
The Warriors player of the year is Sean Johnson.
Yep.
Manly's Daly Cherry Evans.
Yep.
The Raiders was Joe Tapine.
Yeah, fair enough.
Bulldogs, Jacob Preston.
That's a bit of a strange one, but I mean, they're picking from a pretty rough bunch there.
Yeah. He also got Rookie of the Year and the Members Player of the Year.
Ah, there you go.
The Knights went to Kalen Ponga.
What do you reckon about that one? Kalen Ponga?
What about that winger bloke?
Yeah, the greatest winger of all time.
Oh, dear. The Dragons went to Blake Laurie.
Man, imagine if he was fit.
The West Tigers went to Jareem Buller.
Okay. Yeah, why not?
Why not? The Dolphins went to Jermaine Asako.
Okay, yeah.
And there's still a few more to come. What else is there? The New South Wales Rugby League did theirs as well. So the Brad Fittler Medal went to Brian Tu'o.
Mm-hmm.
The True Blue Award, I don't know what the hell that is, went to Liam Martin.
Mm-hmm.
The Women's Player of the Year, Emma Tonegado.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there? A bunch of other small things.
Why is the New South Wales Rugby League holding an awards ceremony?
Most of that is for the New South Wales Cup.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because it's like 3 games. It's a weird one.
No, so it's the New South Wales Cup, the New South Wales Women's Premiership, the Jersey Flag, Sydney Shield, all those minor competitions as well in Sydney. Okay. So that's what they're covering.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So what have we got coming up? 15th of September, so in 3 days' time, the QRL, Melbourne Storm is going to be the end of September or first week of October. The Rugby League Players Association will be the 1st of October. And then we've just got no dates confirmed for these ones, but the Broncos, Sharks, Titans, Cowboys, Panthers, South, Roosters, and the Dally M Awards have not been done yet.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. We've got a few awards out of the way there.
Oh, there we go. It's
smashing out the info for you all here today, people.
Yeah, it's lots of info. You've been doing your homework, Andrew. What the hell?
And to think that this episode may not even be getting recorded.
It would really suck if that's the case.
Yeah, you'll have to wing it all. There's something I saw on Twitter today, which amused me. It was an email that friend of the podcast, Alan Pearce, received.
Yes.
Did you see this?
I saw that there was an email that you were both bemused by, but I didn't read it because I haven't been on Twitter much the last couple of days. So hit me with it.
This is what the email says.
Okay.
We don't know who it's from. He's blacked it out. That's fine. It says,
Okay.
Hi, Alan. I think what would be better than rigid helmets would be padding, maybe like Jonathan Thurston used. I'm pretty sure that would help as it would produce less acceleration of the brain tissue because the force will be slowed down less fast and cushioned.
Now, just can I stop you there? Less fast is a technical term. It's very complicated.
But when you throw in slowed down less fast,
Yeah.
is that a double negative?
Slowed down less fast. That's a good point.
I don't know. He goes on. This is a bit that Alan liked the most.
Okay.
You can easily test the difference by banging your head on a table, first with a pillow wrapped around your head and then without it. I do not think it would hurt much with the pillow around your head, but without it, it would hurt. They may need more tests to confirm this with larger sample sizes. What do you think?
First of all, I want to be there when they do the testing. Okay?
I just replied and said, Alan, you need to say there's a reason why the airbag is deployed inside the car and not outside it. It's the same concept. We're not trying to protect the headgear. We're trying to protect the brain.
Yeah.
Oh, my fucking God.
I tell you what, someone sat down and really thought that through, eh?
And then went submit.
Yeah. Like, how many nights were they just lying there and going like, yeah, my head feels soft on this pillow. I reckon if I hit my head on a table with this pillow there, I'd be fine.
I'm sure they've done it. They've put the pillow on the table. Actually, no, they said wrap the head. So he's obviously gone and got a bit of duct tape, wrapped the pillow, taped it around his head, and just started headbutting shit. Boom, that didn't hurt. Boom, that didn't hurt.
Maybe that's the future rugby league. Everyone's playing with a couple of fucking pillows wrapped around their head with some fucking tape.
Oh, my God.
That'd
The
be
first thing I
great.
thought, I said to Alan, when I retweeted, I just said, this is what happens when Phil Good starts emailing doctors about HOAs.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Oh, my God. That's the funny shit I've seen all week.
Imagine emailing that to a neuroscientist. Fuck.
How do you reply to that?
I don't know. Like, do you just say thanks?
Would you like to come in and help us with that? This is no, bang your head harder. Just keep bouncing his head until he gets knocked out. Says you can go home now.
That's weird, man.
Oh boy. Do you want something from the West Tigers?
I always enjoy West Tigers news.
I got a fun fact.
Okay.
Benji Marshall won a Golden Boot and the Dally M 5/8 of the Year award, but he never ever won the Top Gong as the West Tigers' best player.
No fucking way. Are you serious?
Yeah. So, even when the West Tigers have got the best player in the world in their ranks at the time that he's given that award, they still can't see that.
That's insane.
What fucking chance have we got?
Have you got a list of the winners of their Player of the Year?
Yes. Where did I put that? I've got it here somewhere.
I just want to know who the better players were in the years that Benji Marshall was there,
Here we go. Let's have a look. So he started in 2003, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I can just go through all the West Tigers players of the year.
Might as well. It's only 4 more years.
Yeah. Okay. So in 2000, Tyron Smith.
Okay.
2001, Ben Galea.
Mm-hmm.
2002, John Scandalis.
Mm-hmm.
Then Anthony LaFranchi.
Mm-hmm.
2004, Brett Hodgson.
Okay.
2005, Hodgson and Scott Prince.
Okay.
2006 and 2007, Robbie Farah. 2008, Chris Heiningston.
Okay.
2009, 10, and 11. So this is when Benji's at his peak and
Killing it.
best in the world. Yep. Gareth Ellis. All 3 years.
He won it all 3 years.
All 3 years.
Fuck off.
2012, Aaron Woods. 2013, Liam Fulton. 2014, Aaron Woods. 2015, James Tedesco. 2016, Mitch Moses. 2017, Elijah Taylor. 18 and 19, Luke Brooks. 2020, David Nofaluma. 2021, Luke Brooks and Dane Laurie. And 2022, Joe Offahengawi.
Well, that's special from a special club. Fuck. Gareth Ellis. Imagine Benji Marshall sitting there. He's in that turd of a side. He's dragging them, kicking and screaming to wins. And it's like, player of the year, Gareth Ellis again. What a fucking load of shit.
You think of the size of the catchment areas that they've got, the West Tigers, and the person who's received their Player of the Year award more often than anybody else came from England.
Yeah. The widest run in second row in history. He only just retired this year, hey?
Oh, he's like 49 or something.
Yeah.
I found that fascinating.
Yeah, that's insane. That's really insane. That is way worse than Darren Lockyer never winning the Dally M medal.
Oh, way worse.
Like it's almost impossible. Like they've only had a couple of quality players in their whole history, and Benji Marshall's one of them.
Yeah. But he's almost very clearly the best player they've ever had.
Well, he just is. He's like by a mile. That's crazy.
You know what else is crazy?
Yeah, go.
Latrell Mitchell has never been named Player of the Year for any club either.
Latrell Mitchell. See, I can see it. I can see it at the Roosters maybe because he was a little bit younger there, but yeah, it's surprising that he hasn't been at the
From 2018 to 2022. All 5 of those years, Tedesco's got the award at the Roosters.
Okay.
Junior Totola got it last year for the Bunnies. Cody Walker the 2 years before that, and Damien Cook the 2 years before that, and Sam Burgess the 2 years before that.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because, he's been their best player over the last couple of years.
Yes.
Did you see the media's still going after him?
Oh, of course they are.
Yeah, saying that he refused to take a picture with a kid at a it was the Mark Geyer Cup in Penrith. They were playing it, and Mitchell was with his family, and somebody asked him for a photo, and he turned them down. And yeah, apparently that was big news on the radio in the last few days because a bunch of fucking 80-year-olds sitting around their wireless need something to complain about.
Is there any chance that the kid was, I don't know, maybe had cancer and leukemia and every other type of disease in the world?
Just trying to get...
He walked all the way to Penrith from Ethiopia.
Yeah, all the things that the media love to toss up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his parents can only afford one wheel. So they're riding on a unicycle everywhere. Yeah. Latrell turns up, the one thing that was going to get them all to survive for the rest of their lives was a signature from Latrell Mitchell. And he's just gone, fuck off, and jumped into his $345 million Mercedes-Benz and fucked off.
Exactly.
Yeah. The media needs to get a fucking grip and a life. Because if they're not chasing around Latrell trying to demonise the bloke, they're hiding in the fucking scrubland, taking pictures of Nathan Cleary just trying to go for a walk with his missus.
Yeah, they're kind of gross. And that's, players should just not talk to them. I would just not talk to them. But then again, we all remember when Darius Boyd just wouldn't talk to the media and he was pretty upfront about it, and they just hounded that guy.
Yeah.
And, I'm not a big fan of Darius Boyd for no other reason than his football. I don't care what else he does. But he just didn't want to talk to the media, and they were like, well, we pay the bills, and who would Darius Boyd be without us? And blah. Meanwhile, Darius Boyd, Test player, Origin player every year. And
Yep.
it was all the media though. Without us, where would he be? Oh, a millionaire every year.
Yeah, he still play footy.
Yeah.
Nothing changes.
They're crazy. They're so crazy.
Probably living a more peaceful existence.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, they're insane. Absolute mutts. So what else has been going on now that I've sort of dominated everything there? Usually I've got to sit there and ask you about all the news, and then I just throw shit in from the side. But I've kind of gone crazy this week. Yeah,
it's great. I haven't seen too much else happening. I've kind of taken a little bit of a quick break from Twitter and just from the media. I'm always taking a break from that shit. But and so I've really just been focused on the footy and really enjoying the games and thinking about the possibilities. And if what we think is going to happen is the Storm will end up playing the Panthers next week and then the Warriors play the Broncos, that'll be really amazing. I don't believe the NRL have decided on where the Panthers will play their game. They're apparently not going to be able to play it at their home stadium. So it's either going to be at Parramatta Stadium, which I saw somebody saying the NRL prefers, or they will play it at Accor Stadium, which is the Sydney Olympic Stadium. And look, I don't care either way. It'll be a good crowd wherever they play it. But yeah, it's all shaping up really interesting. And I'm really enjoying the footy. The thing I love about finals footy is that this is where the story of the game gets told. Like, what you do in the regular season is normally a footnote to this stuff. And when you look through rugby league history, they'll talk about the odd game here and there, but it's always as a footnote to what happened in the finals. And so this is where careers are made, and this is where whether you're a really good player or you're just a regular season player, this is where you find out all that stuff. And it's really cool to watch it playing out in front of you. And that's why it was cool to see what Brisbane did on the weekend against the Storm, because that was a young team that we've talked about. This is kind of their first run in the finals, and they put the marker down. And then the Panthers had to follow that up, and they did. And now we'll see what happens with these teams on the weekend. I can't wait until that New Zealand Warriors game. That's going to be so cool to watch.
Bloody oath. Now, aside from the NRL Finals, there's some other important footy games going on in the next month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
International Rugby League is back.
Nice. It was cool that it's been resuscitated after the International Rugby League killed it.
Yes, and if you want to see an actual calendar with the actual games on it, go to Rugby League Project because we've got them there.
Can I just bring up a point, Andrew?
Okay.
If you go to the International Rugby League's website, they don't have the same comprehensive list at all, not even close to what you have for the fixtures that are upcoming on Rugby League Project. And I would also say that any other affiliated website that is supposedly working with the International Rugby League, they don't have this information either. That's why everyone goes to Rugby League Project for their statistics and the schedule of the games and the results.
I'll have to take your word for it. I only work on Rugby League Project, so I'm taking your word for it on this one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've looked it up. Trust me, I've looked it up. And I was sadly disappointed by the other alternatives.
If you're anything other than gorgeous, it's thorough.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
This Saturday.
Humble too, by the way.
Well, look, I don't want to toot your own horn, but most humble man ever, I believe, is the term.
Yeah.
No one is more humble than you.
The best at being humble.
Yeah. Yeah, this Saturday, Montenegro plays Malta.
It's an interesting one. Where do they play that game at?
That will be it's in Montenegro, a place called Tivat.
Okay. What's the capital?
Montenegro.
What's the capital of Malta?
Malta. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Rugby League is the capital of Malta. Make that shit happen. The week after that, Malta plays Bulgaria. That's next Saturday. Next Sunday, Serbia plays France in Serbia.
That'll be an interesting one.
It'll
be interesting to see how France goes. That's a real crossing of the levels in International Rugby League. It'll be a good guide for Serbia as to where they're at.
Well, given Serbia's currently listed, but they're currently 10th on the rankings list. France is around 6 or so.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to see because Serbia does play, well, in the past anyway, not so much now, quite regularly. They've been playing a little bit more regularly since COVID. They used to be one of the most active teams in Europe prior to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
They're just starting to get their mojo back in that regards. September 30th, Netherlands plays Norway. The week after, Netherlands then plays Albania. October 14, we've got Australia playing Samoa and the Netherlands playing Serbia. October 15, PNG plays Cook Islands. October 21, New Zealand plays Samoa. Malta plays Chile. That's in Sylvania Waters in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
That's at 2 p.m. on Saturday, October 21. Go
at
over to
Rugby League Park, I believe.
Yeah, that's the one. Foreshore Rugby League Park. October 21 also. This is a big day. Netherlands plays Germany over in the Netherlands. I think it might be in the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
All the research I've done so far has said that was in the Netherlands. It could be in Germany. Who knows? We'll find out, I guess, on October 21. October 22, Fiji plays Cook Islands. England plays Tonga. October 28, Malta plays the Philippines in both the men's and women's games at Cabramatta.
Mm-hmm.
October 28 also has Australia playing New Zealand, England playing Tonga, Czech Republic playing Netherlands. October 29, PNG plays Fiji. November 4, England plays Tonga. There's a few women's games in there as well, but that's a lot of them are sort of doubled up along the way. It's similar venues.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty chock-a-block calendar coming up until November 4. A lot of it's on Saturdays and Sundays.
It's good. And I guess from this Pacific Championship that they're playing, we're going to work out who the current best team in the world is.
Yeah, it'll be down here somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, where else would it be?
Yeah, it's not going to be in fucking Europe. They can't play rugby league. We've seen that. What's it going to be in Wales? Nothing good comes out of Wales.
Well, Wales, Scotland, Ireland are not playing any internationals.
Good.
Watch them stay in the top 10 or the top 15. Where's Scotland? Scotland's 17. And watch them still get in the World Cup.
They'll come out with some explanation of, yes, they didn't play. And while that has been important in the past, we've changed it. So not losing is a positive.
They get 10% of all of the points that England gets for playing because it's part of the Great Britain wank. Who knows? We don't know how that works. But yeah.
No one knows. Who's it for?
What's that?
The fucking ranking. What in the shit was that?
Someone decided that, it's 11 o'clock at night. We need to do laps up and down suburban streets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
It's okay. I'll go out there soon and put a brick through his window. You won't do it again.
Nice.
I like to be calm when I solve problems.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. So yeah, it's a big month and a half coming up. And look, actually, I'm really looking forward to the international footy more than the finals in the NRL.
Really? See, obviously, I've got a little bit more on the line in the finals.
Well, yeah. I mean, I never do.
Yeah. I guess after a decade, you kind of start looking forward to the internationals after August.
Right. Well, you start looking forward to them when you're putting them back in May.
So
I need something to work towards, for fuck's sake.
You've got to have something to cling on to. Yeah, it's gonna be good though. I can't wait to see all the world's best teams playing against each other. So it will be awesome to see after the final series is over. And you and me, we will do all the podcasts through all the internationals and through the end of the year too. There's always something to talk about.
Bloody oath.
We should do history lessons after the footy season's over, hey?
Well, I talk a good game in that area. I have to get my finger out of my ass.
I have a stats guy, right?
Yeah.
My history guy, I don't know what the fuck happened to him.
He's been on holidays for a while, that prick. Fuck, he's lazy. Oh, man. Your stats guy, man. On point.
On point. Always there when I need him. He'll look up stuff for me instantly.
Dependable, reliable, always there. History guy? Where is he?
History guy is fucking history. He's just like, that guy? What guy?
Who? Doesn't exist. Overrated hack, that bloke.
What would your guy be?
My guy?
Yeah, you've got guys.
Yeah, I've got an IT guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name's Sean.
Sends you computers.
Builds a website for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's his, but I'll just say it's for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just his staff. Let's be honest.
If I could get away with joking about it and people wouldn't think I was being serious, I would do the same thing. I'd be like, "Oh yeah, Rugby League Project, that's my site." But people would think I was being serious.
Yeah, no, it's a funny sort of system we've got there where Sean always likes to treat me as though he and I are equals. And I always treat him like he's the boss. It's a good system. It's worked fine for this long.
Yeah. Sounds like a fucking marriage, actually.
It does a little bit.
That's how you survive.
Except one that works. I just shield.
Just keep going. Funny. Move on.
I'll do the dishes. So yeah, I've got that. I've got a few writer guys for the yearbooks.
Yeah.
Publisher guy.
Yeah.
Puts it all together.
Yeah.
I got a team.
You got your team around you.
Yeah. A solid core of dedicated, just insanely brilliant humans. And I'm pretty lucky with that, to be honest.
I noticed no females, Andrew. What's the deal there, huh?
There's females.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's females.
I'm just going to get in trouble.
And,
yeah,
just to show how woke I am.
Yeah.
All types of sexualities as well.
Oh,
sexual
really?
Preferences, everything. I've got them all covered.
Nice.
So we are the wokest rugby league website there is out there.
Rugby League Project?
Well, that and with our affiliation with League Unlimited, yes.
Yeah. See, my website, right, I don't allow anyone to do shit to it.
Well, I mean, but that's how a good dictatorship should work.
Exactly. I'm the alpha and the omega, and that's it.
All the bases you need to cover that you can possibly do as one human, you've covered.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's right. So, there's nothing wrong with that. How is LeagueFreak.com going?
Good. I haven't written anything this last week. But I've written a little bit lately. It's been good. I think I got into the habit of feeling like I needed to smash out 3,000 word giant articles for a long time. And I just don't. I can just give a quick opinion here and there, and it's fine. One of the things I was doing was writing about grand final winners, which was cool, and just because it gives you a chance to sort of reminisce about teams and stuff like that. But yeah, because at one point I've had different sorts of things that I've written out. So when I started writing, and I kind of just fell into it. Making my own website was just somewhere where people could find me when I got banned off all the forums. And then I would just write little bits here and there about all sorts of different sports. And then it kind of went into I would do these giant articles writing all sorts of shit. And I think I just got stuck into feeling that's what I had to keep doing. And so I've finally got out of that now, so I can just write little bits here and there about anything that's on my mind. It's good.
Which is more writing than what Paul Kent's doing at the moment.
Yeah, I heard that he finally found his audience.
He did. There was an article that we were made aware of, thanks to our boss, Nadine.
Yes.
About Paul Kent's found himself a new line of work.
Mm-hmm. What would that be?
He's a part-time limo driver for a funeral home.
Nice. That's good stuff. That's really good.
Yeah, the great thing about it is Kent, possibly in his job interview, said he wants to write a book about the industry.
I mean, what the fuck would you write about? Everyone's dead. We kind of know what happens. You wheel in a dead person and they put him in the ground. Like, what more do you have to write about that?
He said he's interested in the industry and wants to write a book about it. So interested in it that he decided to be a journalist instead for 30 fucking years.
Yeah.
And this bloke believed him. Oh.
That's a strange one, hey?
Oh, man.
It's got to be weird for him, though, that, like, he's got it pretty set. He's on TV talking about a sport he doesn't know a great deal about, and he's writing about a sport he doesn't really watch, and then it's all over, and then, like, what? You know, and all of a sudden he's driving dead people around the city.
Well, let's go aside from who he is and what he's done. I assumed that he was suspended, not sacked, and they would be suspended with pay. Because at the moment, he hasn't been officially charged, or he hasn't officially been labelled as a criminal. He hasn't been found to have done anything criminal yet.
Yeah.
It's all before the courts.
Yeah.
So he's not sacked. So I would have thought that he was on leave with pay. But the fact that he's had to go and get himself a part-time job has either got me thinking that he's not getting paid or he's under the impression that he's not going to keep his job. And I think that might be because, irrespective of how this court case goes, if they find him innocent, it still hangs over his head. It's going to be hard for him to come back on TV or be writing articles along the same guise of what he used to, which was attacking players for bad behaviour or, you know, character assassination type stuff that he would sometimes go down. So he did a lot of it, but he dabbled in it every now and then. But he's not going to be able to go down that path. Even though he would be if he was proven innocent, he'd still have that hanging over his head. Yeah. People would have absolutely zero time for him, even the ones that, you know, had previously supported the work he did. And so I think he's probably come to the realization that no matter what happens to this court case, his career in this sector is probably done. And that's why he started looking for other jobs. The problem he's going to get now is because he's been found at this place. And the one thing I don't agree with is that they've gone out and named the bloody, the business that he's working for.
Yeah.
So now people are going to go, I'll look them up on the yellow page and they'll ring up Paul Kent and abuse him and go, well, you're not going to get him. He's driving a car. He's not running the fucking front office.
Yeah.
But it's just going to, it's going to start happening, and he's just going to start getting hassled by the public when he might be trying to want to move on or get away from that sort of shit. And I'm not defending him in any way, but that's what's going to happen now. And I would much rather that they say no one says shit about him until the court case, then we get the result, and then we go, right, that's it, that's done. If he's found guilty, put him in jail. Don't talk about him. If he's innocent, still don't talk about it. Why would you? I don't get this fascination with this bloke. He's just a journo.
Yeah.
Not a great one.
What if he really is interested in the funeral business? And it makes me think about, like, the sorts of things that people are interested in that maybe you don't know about. So is there something that you are interested in that maybe our listeners don't know about?
Rugby league history? Oh, no.
Like, is there something that's like, like, I don't know, like real left wing that is not left wing, but like out of left field is what I'm really actually saying. Where it's like, oh, I like reading about, you know, the history of automobiles or something weird. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to watch Formula One.
Yeah, that's something.
Pretty keen on the wrestling back in the mid-90s when that was peaking.
Mm-hmm. Because some people have like interests that you sometimes get surprised by, you know.
I suppose I like watching documentaries about people who are arseholes in the finance sector getting absolutely caught out and destroyed.
There you go.
Yeah, like proper investigative journalism.
Enron shit.
Yeah, that gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bernie Madoff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating. And that sort of comes through a previous job I had working with real estate analytics and fraud systems and stuff like that I had to do with there.
See, that's interesting. See, people would never have known that.
I don't know. I would have thought
opened up about it.
I would have thought that was less interesting than rugby league history.
It depends if it's your money that got defrauded from you, I guess, hey?
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But I've had conversations with people down here in Melbourne with, people I work with.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a few people who are, after a year or so of chatting with them, they said, I found out that there's a guy with your name who wrote a book about rugby league history. I went, oh, yeah, that's me. I went, you've never said anything about it. I'm going, well, you're Victorian. Why would you care?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you wrote a book. I'm going, yeah, but it's about something you don't care about. He says, I don't care. I want a copy of it. Can you give me a signed autograph one on it? I was like, why? You're not going to read it. He says, I'll read it because I know you wrote it. And I went, yeah, but you don't care about it. This is why I'm really shit at selling stuff.
Mm.
Even when I've got an opportunity to, and the person's right there wanting to take it from me, I refuse to give it to them. I try and talk them out of it.
Yeah. You're like, listen, I want it, give it to me. And you're like, you're not hearing me, all right? You do not want this book. You don't care. They're like, I'm telling you I care. We got to work on that part of you, Andrew.
Yeah. That's a problem area for me.
Yeah.
I'm too humble.
Yeah, that's I just learned to strut, man.
Yeah, I just sort of go back from that. So I need some assistance there. I mean, you've heard enough about that in the past. Stuff about how we could be making money from a lot of things that we're doing. And
seriously, and it makes me want to it makes me want to grab yours, just put a fucking pillow around your head and slam your heads into the table. You're leaving money on the table, man. And I'm like, fuck.
We're looking after the peoples.
I know.
Yeah. There you go.
What you should do is let me take over all the finances, right? Okay. I'm going to put it. I've got this scheme. Okay.
Does it involve these things from Egypt?
No. No. I call it the trapezoid. Okay.
The trapezoid.
Yeah.
I do like that. It doesn't have a pointy bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no pointy bit.
No.
It's the trapezoid.
It's just a bit wonky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
Checks out with me.
I'm fine with it. I've never read about Ponzi schemes that started out as a trapezoid. Can't go wrong. A trapezoidal crypto.
No one has ever lost money in a trapezoid scheme.
Never
ever.
Nor has anyone ever been caught having a fake one.
Yeah.
So you might be onto something there. I'll leave you with that. You let me know how it goes.
Excellent.
And we'll invest all that we've got into it once it's up and running.
If you just leave me all your financial details, and you don't even have to worry about it. Don't even tell your accountant, okay? Because you don't need your accountant involved in this. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I haven't got one of those yet. Do you want to be my accountant?
Yes.
Okay, done. Sorted. All right. Well, what else is there to go on about?
I think that's pretty much it. You know, we've got finals footy, and that's all we really need in our lives, hey?
I guess that's true.
That and Pornhub.
That's never going.
God bless them.
Even when everything else shuts down around the world, Pornhub and Rugby League Project will always be there.
Exactly.
We've got all your bases covered. And look, I'm fairly certain LeagueFreak.com will still be there too, covering that middle area between the two.
That's gross.
It's the conduit.
That's disgusting, and yet I want to watch a video of that.
There you go. There's a secret link in the LeagueFreak.com banner that takes you straight to the sealed section. You just got to keep clicking around till you find it.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that to promote my website for the next few weeks. The link between Rugby League and Pornhub, Rugby League Project and Pornhub is LeagueFreak.com. Check it out.
The conduit. Wow, people. What more could you want? That was some epic rambling right there.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check us out on all the socials. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, MySpace. I'm sure there's others.
Threads.
You know them all now. Threads. Is that still going or has that died?
I don't know.
Neither do I.
Instagram, that's still a thing.
That's still a thing.
Yep.
Yeah, check them all out. Like, share, subscribe, follow, all that sort of stuff.
Reddit. What do threads do?
I don't know.
What do they do on threads?
Do they sew?
It's a good point. I don't know. Crochet it?
Crochet? Knit one, pearl one. Thanks for tuning in. We'll check you all out next time.